This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming at you with another video. And the topic of this video is it costs to be the boss. Now, to give an example of this, I want to use a rapper that I have a lot of respect for that's been in the game for decades, Snoop Dogg. Now, when he first arrived on the scene, he was a part of Death Row. And I'm not going to rehash the whole story about what happened to him under Death Row, but you can do that history research yourself. But after he left Death Row, he went to No Limit, where he actually started making good money. He started learning the business aspect of the music industry. And when his contract with Death Row was up, because he did 3 albums with them, and once his album obligations was up with No Limit, he was able to get his own record company, and he inked a deal under a major label, and he came out with an album, which is my second favorite Snoop Dogg album, which is called "Paid the Cost to Be the Boss." And when you look at his journey from how he started with Death Row to when he made it to Paid the Cost to Be the Boss, you will understand that it has a deeper meaning than a lot of people really picked up on. Because he really did pay the cost to get to that point. And it's not all just about money when paying the price. And that's what a lot of people don't have a certain aspect of what it is, and it's deeper than just money and materialism and things of that nature, even though that plays a part in it. You see, living a boss lifestyle isn't always about having the biggest house. It isn't always about having the biggest car. It's about living the type of life that you desire to the best of your ability. Now, I could talk off of personal experiences of how I came to this conclusion, but I'm just going to, give out a few examples, and I'm going to use my life. Growing up, my mother was the boss of the house. And it was certain things that I didn't like that was going on, and certain things that were happening, but it didn't matter because she was going to work. She was paying the bills. She was putting food on the table. She was the head. So what she said went. And if I didn't like it, I didn't have a choice but to deal with it because I was a child. And then when I became a certain age, and it was hard for them to get me to listen the way that they wanted me to listen, and I wasn't able to just go along with what it is that they wanted me to do, then it was time for me to move on to another level. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for me because I didn't have the mentality to really deal with the military lifestyle that I was dealing with. And so it didn't last as long as what it possibly could have if I had an actual plan and actually knew what it was that I was doing or what I needed to do. But I've come to the conclusion that I had a few deficiencies growing up. And even though I've done my best to overcome those deficiencies, I still have certain markers about myself, certain quirks about myself that I have to deal with, that anybody that's dealing with me has to deal with it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just makes me a unique person to who it is that I am. It makes me unique. And me understanding that, I know that I had to pay the cost to get to where I am currently. And to be honest with you, going through it, I didn't know what it meant to pay the cost. Now that I'm older, I understand what it is to pay the cost. Because I remember a time when I got my first apartment. And it was a studio apartment. It was real small. and it was expensive for me at the job that I was working. I was paying pretty much one of my bi-weekly checks for rent, and then the rest of it, the other check that I got for the month, it went towards utilities, it went towards toiletries, food, things of that nature. And I would have few $100s left here or there, to where I could like go out or I could enjoy life on those few dollars. But I made sure that I paid my bills on time, that I made sure I had food in the house. Unfortunately, I didn't have a budget enough to where I could afford nice clothes, so I had like two pairs of blue jeans. I had three pairs of dress pants, and I had five button-down shirts and a few t-shirts and a couple of gym shoes, a couple of dress shoes, a couple of belts. Really minimalistic, not because it's something that I wanted to do, but because that's all I could do. And then on top of that, the apartment that I lived in, it was small. In the summertime, it got really hot. I had no AC, and I didn't have enough money to afford to get AC. And then I look at where I'm at now in my life, and getting to where I'm at now, I had to pay a lot. I had a cost that I had to pay to get to where I'm at, or I would have been stuck where I was at that point. You know, I can honestly say that all the trials and tribulations that I went through, all the embarrassments that I went through, it helped me get to this point where I'm working a job. I'm not the boss at my job. I do what I'm told at my job, but it's allowing me to live my life in a certain way to where I can boss up in certain situations. And I learned that no matter what we do in life, it's going to cost us. No matter what we do in life. And not only does it cost to be the boss, it costs to be a loser as well. To be an average person that's hardworking every day, like I am, it costs. You know, you got to make sure those utilities are paid. You got to work on self development, developing the character that you want to be, and that costs time and effort. I'm trying to learn a different language, that costs. You know, I'm trying to streamline my attention to where I stop focusing on outerly worldly things and start focusing on things that's going to improve me as a person, because I realize that at my age, like, I can no longer afford to try to keep up with the Joneses because it costs too much for me at this point in my life. The only thing that I need to do is make sure that I have myself maintained. And I used to want to be the best athlete in the world. I used to want to be a champion. But one thing that I know personally is that I'm the champion in my own house. And I have my own title to prove it. And I paid for this title. And it cost me to have this championship. And I'm the champion of my house. Um, Relationships, they cost. And sometimes they cost a lot of money depending on how much the woman likes you or not. If she don't really mess with you that much, it's going to cost you a lot. If she messes with you, it's still going to cost, but not as nearly as much as it's going to cost if she's only using you for your resources. Because one thing that I've learned is that women, they will go all the rules that they have for men that they don't really want for the man that they actually want. So for some women, the price is way too high for me, and I'm okay with that. As long as I make sure I'm okay, I'm eating good, I'm living good, I'm paying the price for myself. Now, if I run into a woman that's willing to meet me halfway, and I'm not talking about 50-50, but if she's willing to meet me halfway and have an understanding with me as far as what we expect out of each other, expectations, and is realistic, then I might pay the cost if it's somebody I want to be with. If not, no, I'm not willing to pay that cost. It reminds me of when I used to try to be a rapper, and I would pay for studio time, I would pay for beats, and I was still trying to develop who it was that I was as a person, and I didn't know who I was, and my songs didn't sound that good, even though I was doing the best that I could. And it got to the point to where I couldn't afford to keep wasting my time doing that. And now that I understand how the industry works, how a lot of these really talented people get played for their talent and they don't really see the money that they supposed to see off of it, God was really protecting me from my stupidity. You see, because now I'm at the age to where I know not a lot of people will want to even listen to what I got to say as far as music wise. But I would be expected to pay tens of thousands of dollars to try to do an album at this point. Even though back 10, 15 years ago when I actually, yeah, 15 years ago when I actually tried to do an album, like the cost of it was about $1,000. But at my age, people see that, oh, you're this desperate to try to make some music. We're going to try to charge you up the ass. And we're not going to help you with trying to get things done as far as getting it out there, getting your copyrights and all that. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. But we still going to charge you up the ass to even do a project with you because we have zero to no faith in you. And I had to realize that that's not a price that I'm willing to pay. Um, I'm not at the age to where people is willing to give me leniency. Like they look at me and they know that I know at this point. I've been disappointed so many times in my life that they know that I see that most of the things that I might do that's outside of the realm of possibilities for a man of my age to do, that I should know better. So if I'm still acting like I don't know any better, I'm going to pay a price for that. And that's one thing that I've started learning about everything in the aspect. And it's not just money, it's time, it's energy, it's attention. You know, I waste a lot of time being distracted, and I'm tired of being distracted. I'm ready to grab life by the horns because I'm tired of the way that I used to live. Last month, I had a bottle of Jameson on my coffee table in the front room, in the living room, and it was just sitting there for weeks. And then one day, I was like, why am I drinking hard liquor at home? Like, this isn't good. And I took that half a bottle of Jameson and I threw it down the sink. I poured it down the sink. And the reason why I did it because I didn't want to drink it anymore. I'm tired of drinking hard liquor. If I drink hard liquor, it's going to be on vacation or if I'm out with friends on a special occasion, and that's going to still be rare because I'm really tired of drinking hard liquor. I'd rather drink some wine at this point in my life. And that's a personal decision that I made because I want to change for the better for myself. I go to the gym and I've been talking about that, but I want to get better at that. So I know that there are steps that I got to do to get better at being more physically fit, even though I have a disability. So I'm getting my mind mentally prepared for the cost that I have to pay in order to get in better shape. Because, like I said, everything in life costs. You see, as an adult male, it's no excuse for you not doing what it is that you need to do in order to survive in this world. And if you don't know, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for your ignorance. And I know that because I pay for my ignorance a lot. But that's the cost of life. And in life, you're always going to have to pay in some form of fashion. And that's something that I've learned and that I'm understanding more, that I'm taking into account each day that I wake up. I'm thankful to God that I have the opportunity to do these things, because it's a lot of people in my age group that don't have the opportunity to do it. Even though I have a disability, I'm still healthy enough to where I can still push forward and do better and to improve my life, because there are certain people in my age group that can't do it, that don't have the ability to do it, or they have children to where they got to focus on them more than themselves, and they got to make sure that they're okay for the future. And I don't have that burden on me at this point. And I understand that. You see, like, I have a gift. And even though sometimes things get rough in my life, I understand that I have a gift of being able to do a lot of things that I would like to do in the way that I would like to do it. And a lot of people don't appreciate that. They don't value it. But I'm having an epiphany in my life where I'm valuing it more, because I understand that, hey, while I pay for it, I might as well enjoy it. And life isn't always going to be easy. It's always going to be some struggle. There's always going to be some suffering. And sometimes you got to learn how to deal with things on your own with nobody around. And it costs sometimes you having a relationship with certain people, you trying to improve yourself, may cost you friendships, may cost you respect. It may cost you fake friends, because if people don't want to see you improve yourself, they really wasn't your friends in the first place. And I realize I don't have a lot of friends. I have a handful of friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's called being mature and being open and honest about myself, because there's a lot of people out here that have a lot of people that they're acquainted with, that they're friends with, and the only reason is because they're nothing but followers. And I don't want to be a follower, so I'm doing what it is that I have to improve for myself, regardless of if anybody likes it or not. So with that being said, this is just Bob Bowman. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I know I went on a tangent today, but this was on my heart for a while to talk about this, because I'm willing to pay the price to be more successful, to be the best version that I am. And I'm encouraging anybody that's listening to this video to do the same things. And I'm out.